Hello everyone, and welcome to History, a program dedicated to uncovering remarkable stories from the past. During President Johnson's administration, the Vietnam War had driven America's national debt to an astonishing $354 billion. When Nixon took office, the war still raged on, and the U.S. government borrowed another $121 billion, pushing the total to $475 billion, a record-breaking number that led to severe inflation. This terrified Nixon, but from that fear came an idea that would change the world forever. To put it simply, the money in your hand is just paper, a promise that you can exchange it for something of real value. Back in 1944, before World War II ended, the Bretton Woods Conference established the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. Anyone holding US dollars had the right to exchange them for gold at any time. The reason gold was chosen as the global standard is obvious, but the question is, why did the world choose the US dollar over the euro or Japanese yen? The answer is simple. At that time, America was rich, incredibly rich. It sold weapons to other nations during the war and held 2/3 of the world's gold reserves. Because of this, other nations had no choice but to dance to America's tune. The dollar became the universal currency. At the time, $44 equaled 1 ounce of gold, but only the US dollar could be exchanged for it. Other currencies could not. That made America the financial ruler of the world. With that power, the US printed money freely, without needing gold to back it. They spent lavishly on their military and weapons, and fought wars in Korea and Vietnam. This massive money printing caused the dollar's value to drop sharply. Here's an easy way to understand it. The more something exists, the less valuable it becomes. Imagine there's only one gold Rolex watch in the world, and you have one special certificate that can buy it. If you suddenly print 80 more certificates but there's still only one Rolex, those certificates lose their worth fast. As America kept printing money, other nations panicked. Their dollar reserves were losing value, turning into little more than worthless paper. Countries like France and Spain demanded to exchange their dollars for gold. Some even sent warships to escort the gold home. The US knew it couldn't sustain that. Its gold reserves were running out. So on August 15, 1971, President Richard Nixon made a shocking announcement. He closed the gold window. The dollar would no longer be convertible into gold, only into oil. It seemed like a dirty trick, but it was pure genius. Nixon understood that, unlike gold, oil was essential to modern industry. No oil meant no machines, no engines, no production. Whoever controlled oil would control the global economy. To make that happen, the US struck a deal with Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil producer. In exchange for American military protection against Israel, Saudi Arabia agreed to sell oil exclusively in US dollars. From that moment, the dollar, once on the verge of collapse, became as valuable as gold again. Because every nation needed oil, and oil could only be bought in dollars, countries were forced to earn dollars by exporting goods to America, often cheaply. The result? American citizens enjoyed enormous benefits. Since Nixon abandoned the gold standard, the entire world has had to play by America's financial rules. Anyone who dared to step out of line from the petrodollar system faced punishment. In 2000, Iraqi President Saddam Hussein abandoned the petrodollar and began selling oil in euros. By 2003, The Guardian reported that Iraq had profited from this decision. But soon after, the US accused Iraq of developing weapons of mass destruction and having ties to al-Qaeda, and invaded, forcing Iraq back into the petrodollar system. In Libya, Muammar Gaddafi proposed a gold-backed African currency to trade oil, and was later overthrown. According to leaked Hillary Clinton emails, that very plan was one of the reasons behind his downfall. All of these events trace back to Nixon's decision in 1971, the move of a cunning strategist, but also the man who ultimately lost in Vietnam. In 1972, Nixon visited China and the Soviet Union to cut off aid to Vietnam, hoping to make it easier for B-52 bombers to attack Hanoi. It was an extremely difficult time for Vietnam, yet through intelligence, creativity, and courage, the Vietnamese forces fought back fiercely. when waves of B-52s rained bombs over Hanoi. Vietnamese troops cleverly used every resource available, including information from captured American pilots at Hoa Lo prison, to uncover a fatal weakness in the B-52's radar jamming system, the 3 cm wavelength. Vietnam's K-860 radar, supplied by China, operated on this wavelength. It could distinguish B-52s from fighter jets and was immune to American anti-radar missiles. Thanks to this discovery, Vietnam shot down dozens of B-52s, stunning the U.S. military. Later, American electronic officers admitted they had detected the 3 cm radar, but dismissed it, thinking it was just low-level anti-aircraft radar. That arrogance cost them dearly. Meanwhile, Vietnamese pilots like Lieutenant General Pham Tuan trained relentlessly for night missions, something even the Soviets found difficult. They practiced landing on short runways, flying in harsh weather, and simulating B-52 combat scenarios over and over again. Their courage was unmatched. Some pilots, like Vu Xuan Thu, even sacrificed themselves in direct attacks against B-52s. After 12 nights of fierce battle, known as the Dien Bien Phu in the air, the U.S. lost 34 of its 193 B-52 bombers, forcing them to sign the Paris Peace Accords on January 27, 1973. Many captured U.S. pilots were later taken to the very sites they had bombed, like Com Thien Street and Bach Mai Hospital, to witness the devastation firsthand. Lieutenant Colonel William Conley, a B-52 electronic warfare officer, recalled, "We were taken to see the hospital that had been destroyed. We were shocked and ashamed. We'd been lied to, told it was a military target, when in fact it was a residential area." Dien Bien Phu in the air was a brutal but glorious battle. It showed the entire world that you can challenge anyone, but never challenge Vietnam. Because no matter what technology you have, we will fight to the very end. And that brings today's episode of History to a close. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and help our channel reach 1 million subscribers. See you next time on History.